You may take over.
Okay, calling to order today's Technology Advisory Board meeting and start the agenda. We are going to pass on approving the minutes from the last meeting. As soon as we can find them, we'll approve them.
Guilty as charged.
And number two, I'll turn over to Dave.
Certainly. So as the members may or may not be aware, I've lost some staff over the last several months, both our IT director, Roger McDonald, and our network manager, Matt Taccio. Basically, Roger has been gone since the early winter and not been back. Matt Taccio left us at the end of December, although he did come back to do some knowledge sharing with us. And at that time, it became aware that the top two positions, we had an opportunity to actually relook at the way our IT services are delivered on the town side. The second thing is there's critical functions, our network security, someone who's overseeing staff with a technology background. That's clear was needed since I was pinch hitting, and I can tell you I am not a technology person. So we reached out to the school department, to the superintendent of schools, and about whether or not Mark and his team could assist us in this transition, which the superintendent was most agreeable to, and Mark has been very, very helpful. In the first few weeks of helping us out, it's apparent that there might be some synergies of combining resources to provide these services townwide rather than having two separate umbrellas. Certainly, perhaps some benefit on the capital side of the investment of having school and town actually working close together, to which we've had conversations with members of the select board, members of the finance committee, members of the school committee, and they're receptive to that. But clearly, school committee certainly wants to ensure that if something was to develop, that it's not going to impact the quality of the services to the schools, to the school staff, to the school children, which is quite understandable and reasonable. We also appreciate the fact that we have ideas, but we're from internal, and perhaps some fresh ideas would be helpful. And we're reaching out to hire a consultant to come in and look at our prior operations, our current operations, and perhaps other ways of providing the services and some models. And so because of that, we have a pilot program right now. So for about 6 months, Mark is actually overseeing the day-to-day decision-making tree and assigning tasks to employees. The other benefit of having Mark's team here, he's been able, they're going to be rolling out their ticketing system, because unfortunately we don't have a ticketing system. It was just email, which can be clunky, and certainly for tracking purposes is difficult.
SolarWinds.
So, and that was obvious, that's an immediate benefit, as well as a pilot program just to see how does this work with a combination of sharing resources between town and school, while we're in the process of trying to hire a consultant to help us with looking at options, current structure, and future options. So I'm sort of blending into item number 3 as I'm describing it, which is in that study, one of the things that we want the consultant to do is actually to talk to all of you and have you play a role in this whole process. And certainly there's expertise here, and certainly there's a knowledge base here in terms of Needham from a perspective of a citizen of, and I think that will be very helpful and useful in the process.
No, that sounds good. And the consultant's already on board, I'm assuming.
No, we're just going through the procurement process now. It's subject to procurement as well. So there is a request for quotes developed and going out on to the street, so to say, to get respondents.
And when, because may know people.
Certainly. Ian?
So it's already gone out to a number of
Okay.
folks. We have used the OSD has a statewide contract that has a number of technology consultants on it, and we've used that as kind of a short list of folks to send out to. So we haven't got any folks back yet. We're still,
Okay, but it just went out this week,
it
right?
just went up. this week.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of the typical players? I mean, it's on OSD, then there's, you said there's a short list of people?
It's actually quite a long list.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what we're going to get. We have a number of names that we've identified that might be firms that could. We see this as an organizational management study, potentially more than a technical technology-based study. So there are a number of firms that could sort of meet that. We're not, this is a small project,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, so I don't know what kind of interest we're going to get.
Yeah, my assumption is it's not going to be a large firm. Because rates are through the ceiling and not be able, so it's going to be the smaller firms on the state contract who deal with smaller towns probably. We deal with the smaller towns and smaller projects.
We can't be unique here. Have other towns done this?
But we actually started and mostly completed a study by the board 20 years ago.
Do you mean, have they merged or have they done a study?
I'm sure other towns have merged the roles.
Yeah,
'cause I
Oh,
see
there
that a
are
lot,
roles,
yeah.
but I'm just talking
It's not
about,
as many
yeah.
as we think, but there are definitely some key ones out there,
Yeah.
like Brookline and Medfield and a few other around us, but it's not as many as you think, but there are definitely ones that do it, yeah.
Yeah, and I know it sounds odd, but Needham is in the rarer view where town and schools operate and think
Yeah.
a bit more than other places, so hence this is not as earth shattering as it would be in some towns. It'd be,
Yeah. I've always had a relationship with the town side. I actually worked here for a year, 20
Mhm.
years ago, when we transitioned the Power School project, so
Yeah.
I knew them, I knew the team here for a long time, so it's been a good working relationship over the years, but it's been separate, and I think there's a lot of benefit in bringing, and looking at bringing, whether it's, bringing it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been talked about for years.
Especially we talk about, telecommunications, internet access, security and cyber, all that stuff has to be town driven, not one or the other. I know it sounds worse. If we get hit, everything gets hit, but that's better because you got two groups trying to work it and making sure that it's right rather than just one group, and that's.
Even if we don't merge, we're going through the practice of actually looking at our network infrastructure merging together. So right now we have a server room at Broad Meadow that, we have a server room that dwarfs all of their servers together, but is stuck in one closet in Broad Meadow, that's very, very small and not properly ventilated and all that. So even something like that, there's benefits in combining our server infrastructure and our space, even if we don't do the full merger. So that even going through this process, I think there's some potential no matter what, because there are those key things that could actually save the town a lot of money, free up space in the schools, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
For example, we talk about the public service building on Dedham Ave has a closet.
Yeah.
Well, Mark may say, maybe I could throw a rack in there. That would be nice because now I have two locations.
The MDF at the rec building is twice as big as our head end at Broad Meadow.
Yeah.
So that's,
Just to sort of
Yeah.
put this in context a little bit, what is the scale of how big is the IT department in the town? How big is the IT department in the schools? Do you guys have common identity management yet? Or you have totally separate systems? And do you
We're completely
have,
separate in identity management, so they're a 365 over here and we're a Google, school over on our side. Staff wise, there were 6 FTEs here.
Yeah.
Currently there's 4. And there are 12 on my team over the
Okay.
schools. That includes both data application support and IT support, just so.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Everything for IT related. I mean.
Yeah.
And just so, what was the town budget last year?
Total budget, so $200 million.
Okay, so about half is the town. So we have $100 million entity run by 6 people
Right.
on the town side. Know any other companies that have 6 people running their IT? Okay, I leave that one alone.
I guess I have a question. You said it's more of an organizational type of thing, and yet we're already talking about technical things. I feel like an IT has some, it has some uniqueness. And so are we looking at the structures and some of those things?
We're looking at structure in terms of service delivery and
Yeah.
such, whether or not it makes sense to do. I mean, I anticipate the answer is yes, but it's still nice to have someone from outside looking at it. Does it make sense to do the server room consolidations, for instance? Does it make sense to do some standardization on terms of security applications?
But that would be more of a
But you
technical
could've-
consultant than a.
You could have done those with Roger here.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, are we focused, or how can this group help? Is this a great place to sort of, okay, if we started all over again, how do we actually build it? Kind of a conversation.
Right.
Which is different than our organization conversation, but when you do put an organization together, then you tend to say, when you're all reporting the same person, it's like, okay, well, we should be doing, if we're both doing X, we're doing X differently, then we should do X the same way.
Right.
So I guess I want to make sure that, or how can we help do the architecture decisions? If this is an opportunity to do that versus
I
an
am
organizational
viewing-
change.
I am viewing it in terms of having a conversation is how would you build a new system? Understanding, of course, the way technology changes and everything. 5 years later, you're probably in the same situation again. But I am looking at it as what would be the recommendation for a municipality with a public school system. Does it make sense having one umbrella, or do they, and technically we still do have a silo with the library, which is yet another system, which is not part of this review. They're not there, and they have a separate elected board. So we're focusing on the 2 large ones to see, is there technological changes one would look at? Are there, as Ann said, in terms of a reporting structure, does it make sense that everybody reports to one person? Or should there be 3 divisions to it with 3 different types of expertise? And so it is a combination, organization, structure, as well as technology.
Okay, so it's really both.
I think the
Yeah.
scope for the bid is only organization, right?
We didn't limit it, so we didn't limit it to technology, and we didn't limit it to one or the other. We said that we would be open to someone with an expertise in organizational management, with an expertise in technology. Our minimum requirement is that it be someone that has at least 5 years of organizational management studies of the type that we've specified in the quotation, which is, technology related. But it could be, slightly different as well. And then someone with some experience with governance. Because it may not be helpful to have someone with private sector experience. It may be more helpful to have someone with more of a public sector focus, because there are slightly different needs. And so we'll see who we get.
this doesn't include a decision to try to rationalize the technology stack between the 2 organizations, does it? I mean, because that's a
No.
whole other,
Yeah.
No, but the application.
the
is
reason I
very
bring
wide.
that up is because you're going to have your expertise at the IT resource level is going to be bound to a technology stack. So you are going to, the idea of bringing the groups together and then still maintaining separate silos, that sounds like that's part of the mix as well.
Yes, that would be Lee, because again, we're like 23 businesses when you come down to it, with different demands, different applications, different service levels. So that's always going to remain true. And that's partly what Ann was making reference to, is it's not always helpful from someone who has only private sector experience, because there's a mission and goal. That's to enlarge the operations and improve profitability. Here is we have different service function needs. That's the end result, is to be able to provide those services to the stakeholders of the various competing interests: park and recreation, health and human services, conservation, planning, building, zoning board of appeals, which you name all these, they have conflicting interest in some respects, but that's the nature of government, because we have entities that are regulatory over other entities. So, and that's where the complexity of meeting with individuals with knowledge of working with information systems in a municipal environment.
Yeah, certainly the data privacy issues for students are going to be very different than for say, for example, town property records, which are essentially public. So for example, but I mean, what I'm trying to understand is in looking at this rationalization at least at a management level, what are the primary objectives that you're looking to achieve that we can support?
The primary objectives is looking at stability and the ability to service the demands and expectations of the town department and the school department, and the ability to ensure continuity and the continuity of operations when there is departure of staff, because clearly we've been in a bad position because we had a lot of knowledge lead at one time. And because it was limited to just one individual having knowledge, and then the network security, one individual having knowledge, we are left to rely upon high cost consultants to support the system, which is also partly what we're doing, but that's not sustainable in the long run. So we're looking for something that recognizes that you need human beings to be able to service the departments, and what is an appropriate mix of relying upon consultants, and at what level would those consultants or service providers be. And so that's what I'm hoping to get from the study, that will then reassure the school committee to be positive and support a plan, the select board to be positive and to select a plan, and the finance committee to feel comfortable with the cost of having such an operation.
We're bringing on 2 contracts to help with one of the things I needed to take over, because I have a full-time job over there, is support over here, and part of that is 24/7 support, right? So the person who left was giving the town 24/7 support, 7 days a week, vacations, everything, doing it all, and that's not sustainable for most folks. So that overall contract is for that extra 24/7 piece for public safety and a little facilities where they need it, like in a storm, sort of a bucket of extra events if they happen when they need it, so that they can get support after hours. So there's a contract for that, and then there's also a contract for stabilization. So, getting all the equipment up, patched, all that kind of stuff, because that needs to be done and properly up to snuff. Let's just say that. We'll get into the details later, but so that's what that second contract is for. So those are both stabilization contracts and slightly ongoing support contracts. We don't know in 6 months, when we're done with that contract, we can reevaluate them and bring them down if we've already built internal capacity to do those tasks.
So temporary staff has already been put in place.
That contract, those contracts haven't been signed yet, but they're in negotiations. So hopefully very soon they'll be.
What about network security, data security around backups and
So that's,
watching that?
so that's what that other contract is all that.
Okay.
They're our whole VMware structure or all that stuff, they will own as far as, you know, patching backups. We have a backup structure, you know, we have
Yep.
a backup structure, but they're making sure it's working, doing all that stuff. The good news in all of this is that the person, this same company had already been working for the town for 10 years. And that person who had been doing the lion's share of actually the work for our person on a contract basis is still with us. So that institutional knowledge is still with us. And that's been a sort of saving grace here in that we have that. So that person is beginning to now sort of fix everything and then transition it to us.
Mhm.
That's the plan, stabilize and transition back to us.
That someone today is actively watching.
Correct. Yep. And then they're actually, where part of this contract is actually software in that it wasn't properly, it didn't, you know, the actual monitoring software wasn't there. You have to actually be live telling us when everything's down, the switch goes down. No. We had that all on our side, on the school side. If a switch or a server goes down, we're notified. That wasn't in place. So that'll be in place with this contract.
So we move out of Hillside, or what's the kind of plan right now?
No, so our plan is, you know, we're gonna stay at Hillside. So our team will stay, right now, in this early phase, our team will stay at Hillside. For the most part, the technicians here will take care of the workload on this side, and my technicians will stay on the school side. There'll be some crossover when we do an inventory, a proper inventory. We might like bring the whole crew over to do that. I'm lucky enough to have an AV technician and an AV specialist, so they might be specializing, helping over here with some of the TVs and things that haven't been fixed over the years, just kind of come in and fix some of that stuff. And my network engineer will be helping out as an advisor to this whole project as well, to make sure that what we're asking what the consultant's recommending jives with what we think as well. So that's sort of the plan, but we'll be physically staying at Hillside. Obviously, I'll be all around it. in this.
And the town IT staff will be still based out of town hall. It's no different than fire department. They have 2 stations, and
Yeah.
staff from 2 stations, DPW. They have staff at 500 Dedham, 470 Dedham on West Street, St. Mary treatment plant. So
And we still have 2 staff members at Broad Meadow, where our network process too, so 2 of them are still over there. But, you know, if it all works out and the mergers happen, where everyone sits, that's all on the table, right? Like, you know,
I guess I would add maybe to this conversation that we're not quite sure what we don't know. So it's highly likely or very possible that in the next 6 months, we will need additional resources that will be coming back to the town for a special project, for equipment that needs to get replaced, for a system that, you know, needs shoring up or even installation. So we'll have more information when we have more information.
I feel like this is something where leverage us. in a
Yeah,
big way.
we've had that
exactly-
conversation, then it's.
That's exactly what we're looking at is you have no direct financial interest in the outcome in this.
Right.
So it would be helpful to have someone else look at what the consultant is suggesting. And are they sending us down a primrose path or?
Yeah.
Grill them a little bit and.
Simply as a point of
And we've gone through Lots of
information,
mergers and things like that, and we're into blending now, so it's. Tell you
What I do.
tell you the lessons learned, yeah.
Go ahead, Lee.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say, simply as a point of information, I spent a little more than a year on a project as a consultant as part of Microsoft for the LAUSD school system. It's a very large school system, but some of the issues are the same. So, you know, I do have a little bit of insight from that perspective. And this is, you know, I mean, I think this is, I think you need to be pretty clear about what you want to get out of such a consolidation. And I mean, it may end up being that you identify things that expand the IT footprint as well as part of this. So
we're already looking at that as far, like, we've expanded the IT footprint on the school side to include doors and cameras and phones. And it makes logical sense.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put it, those are all things that we need to look at, but those are the things that we would assume we would look at on that side as well,
To the point.
You know,
Andy,
service
we don't
automation
go
and
over
things like that, that
Yeah.
you may be able to abstract knowledge that walked out the door into processes that you can replicate across the both organizations.
Okay.
So I'll continue talking on, Mr. Chair. The next one is the revenue and collection billing software update. Again, and bring the new members up to speed. The town, and this, of course, is one of the issues that has helped us be in the dilemma we are in. We have been using the same billing and collection software system. It's basically a system that originated from the late 80s, implemented back in 92. School staff uses the application in the green screen.
Glowing
They
green
have
letters.
staff that doesn't even know what green screen means. I recall some old movies from the 90s that had green screens, but I've never actually experienced them themselves. The system, but served us well, but it's very, very expensive to, as you all can appreciate, expensive to change billing and collection systems. And every year, there's always competing priorities. Okay, do I spend my tax money to hire a few more teachers? Have a fire department, make sure public health is there, or do I buy software? So it kept getting postponed. The application served well. It was ahead of its time back when it was purchased in 92, because what it was is all the core applications was in one system. If you recall, especially late 70s and 80s, when technology was expanding in companies, you had a payroll system with one company, you had a billing system with another company, you had a system for HR tracking another company. But this company that the town secured from offered it all: a billing system, a payroll system, accounts payable system. So it was really ahead of its time. Didn't have to have the problems of trying to communicate with one another. But over time, the industry grew. Companies started recognizing that they needed for their applications to talk to other applications that they're going to have a marketplace. And that's progressed quite a bit over the last 30 years. So that opened up opportunities. So back in 2014, we spun off our financial applications. That's accounts payable, purchasing, purchase orders, the general ledger, and payroll. And that's all in a system with the, use layman's terms, a Microsoft-based application, and it has worked well. But we immediately started having issues of trying to transfer information from the old, from the legacy billing collection system to the new financials, because this system actually operates in IBM AS400 environment. And it's just clunky. It's not really meant for sharing information easily. And then in the last several years, and what finally got it, that all meaning the different boards in town, and then going to town meeting, was during the height of COVID, when we were having town meeting outside, that it was an article that everybody agreed had to be taken up, is the company was saying they weren't going to support the applications anymore. So, it was clear that that we had to replace, we could not delay any longer replacing the system. And in fact, some of the problems that we're having with the system is Internet Explorer is not supported anymore, and that needs Internet Explorer to work on. So we've been encountering some problems. It's a long introduction to say, last year we started the procurement process. We had different proposals presented. And the company that we selected is based out of Connecticut. It's Quality Data Systems, QDS is their acronym. And we have been methodical in implementation, and we had the rollout of the treasurer's cash book on March 1st. So that's really the first things, the day-to-day posting of cash receipts. Right now, it's still just contained in the treasurer collector's office. The goal is that this, once we're comfortable and understand it, is pushing out so that when the individual departments taking the receipts, rather than entering it into their different applications, Excel spreadsheets, some people still doing paper, that they'll just enter their transaction directly in the system. So we only have one original point of entry. So there's only one opportunity for error than multiple times of error. The second thing that's rolling out at the end of the month of March is the motor vehicle excise will be billed out of the new system. Some of the immediate changes is the way that folks have been able to pay online. It's going to change a new methodology. It's going to an application called My Tax Bill, will be on the town's website, and they'll direct you to the third party where you'll be able to pay motor vehicle excise as you have had in the past. And what's wonderful is this company has been able to get the data out of our current system, and will have the history of motor vehicle, recent motor vehicle excise history. So folks are not going to lose that. It's because sometimes you put a new application and you lose the history. Been able to bring in the history, so folks that need to do research for income tax purposes, business purposes, or what have you, they'll be able to do that. The other three components that still are yet to be rolled out, but will be over the coming months. We know we have a hard date with the real estate and personal property that we will be billing the FY24 tax bills. The FY24 begins on July 1st, so that tax bill that's mailed at the end of June will be billed out of the new application. And that will definitely be an improvement, because when people have not had an opportunity because we weren't able to get the information out of our system to work with a third-party collection service, the ability for people to pay online. The system communicates, and people will be, through My Tax Bill, will be able to pay their personal property and property tax bills online for folks that want to do that. The other piece that also is pending for rollout is water and sewer, the utility bills. That should happen no later than October 1st. We're hoping that possibility that we could be sooner, because this is yet another system where our application for water and sewer billing, the reading of the meters is from a company, Neptune, and they have already told us that they're going to the 365, and they're not going to support any of the prior systems, therefore wouldn't be able to talk with us. They got a hard date of December 31st, so we know that we got to get this done sooner rather than later. Another issue we're having is there's a series of Java issues that we're keeping to run into, and
Every day I'm dealing with job issues,
Yeah.
so.
and so
It's a nightmare.
DPW would be happy if we can move them even sooner than October 1st. The last piece is what I refer to as general billing, and that is for small receivables, which are not cash for service, but actually you're billed for it. Some of the things that immediately come to like police details, custodial details, rental of space, we do billing for health insurance for retirees, for instance. Those are things that are billed as a receivable. And we collect. A great improvement that this is going to have over our current system is they will have stubs that will be scannable, so we can run them through a lockbox. Because currently all those receivables I talked about, it's all a manual collection process. Even though it's a producer of a bill of receivables it is in a billing system, it doesn't produce a scannable bill and this new application provides that for us. That will certainly provide speed and again, reduce the likelihood of errors. So that's where we are with water and sewer, with the revenue and collection billing software.
Any questions? Multiple there.
Good job.
Yeah, I mean, those are hard things to
Yeah.
support, so.
Yeah. Especially without an IT director at this point. So it's kind of fallen on Dave to be the project lead.
Yeah, yes, but the team that we have is good. Yes,
Yeah.
and in fact, one of our recent hires back in July, Pam Bright, was specifically to assist with the implementation of QDS, and she's figured out a few things that have helped us, like getting that data out of the AS400 so that QDS could have the history in their system. So it's a good team there.
Okay. Next thing's talking about future meetings. And I, no,
We talked about, we had talked about that, right? So,
Yeah.
Coming over.
still want to do it, or you want, it's up to you. I know
When
you're up to
when are
you.
we talking about?
April 6th.
Thursday, April 6th.
I can't make it now. I'll be out of the country, so.
And did we just book something for April 6th? Did we
Oh, I
just say
can
we-
check.
We said something about April 6th, but I think.
That's early in the afternoon.
And it's,
Right,
yeah,
yeah, that.
we got everyone here, so we can set a different date and, especially because this meeting's today.
The room is free over there after 4.
And I think it was also like a field trip sort of thing.
Were we saying, well, I forget what we were saying, coming to Hillside or coming to
High school.
high school?
High
That's what, high
school.
school.
Yes.
I was like, why would you want to see Hillside? But you might want to see Hillside. I don't know.
I haven't been there in a while.
It looks pretty good now. We
Just
actually love
went
it.
to kindergarten there.
Yeah, we love it, actually.
I know, because it's your own separate building.
No, but it's actually been cleaned up and we all joke about how we actually really love it.
Yes.
It was an upgrade from memory.
It was.
It was an upgrade,
It
yeah.
is.
That's pretty sad, isn't it?
A pretty major upgrade, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's half the age.
Well, it's also, it has huge windows, it has, it has light, it has.
Yeah, you were in the
Space.
I was
basement.
in the
That's right.
basement, so.
That's right. Yeah, you were stuck in the
It's
dungeon.
nice.
Human beings walk by my window, it's nice, you know?
Yeah, you see feet.
You know what the weather is.
Yeah.
That was big for me.
Yes, right now.
I kind of moved from a windowless place to a window.
So, high school, yeah, so I'll double, we can find a space for all.
So we'll miss you, but
Yeah.
We can
Sorry.
do that, we can push that too, and do that in May if you want, whenever you want to. You know.
okay.
I forget what we're saying, a lot's happened, so I mean, were we saying we just wanted to see, you guys hadn't seen high school
What did we say?
tech or?
Well, we haven't been to the high school in
Yes.
years.
So we
mean,
can show, I
10,
think we talked about
12
showing you
years.
how we changed over classrooms to different technology and
Yeah.
simpler, but different and.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you've seen the new wing, all that kind of stuff as,
We saw, we got a tour of the new wings when they came online, and that's when my daughters were in, and my youngest graduated in 2014.
right.
So,
Yeah, right.
so
I was
it's
there with
2016,
parents,
2012 or before.
So that's,
You
you're
know.
talking about the new old wings,
Right,
Yeah,
right,
I
right.
don't-
Not-
I don't think
not-
done like the new cafeteria or the new section with the,
Yeah, so there's something, there's plenty you can see what we're doing.
And to see the new tech,
Yeah.
from I have,
Yeah.
haven't been there since 9 years. Have no reason to go with no kids there, so,
Yeah.
okay.
So the other thing I'll just double check is there's nothing happening. I'll double check that there's nothing happening that night there, like.
Yeah.
A robotics
Are you-
event or whatever, where
are
someone's
you
renting the space.
going to wanna move the date?
Well, it
I
says
don't
I'm
the
asking personally.
5th is actually a pre-K through 12 early release, if that's,
It's
I don't
because
know
it's
if we can move
Passover.
it. Oh, okay.
So,
no, go ahead and. 'cause I'm gone for the first 2 weeks, so. we have to do it.
We have to do it at the next one if you want. It's totally up to you guys, whatever you.
Yeah.
whatever
I
you want.
mean, might as well do it for everyone. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? And we could.
It is a little.
So what's,
tricky right now.
I don't even know
pushing it.
what's vacation week in April?
7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And town meeting starts May
On May
1st.
1st. Yeah.
So if we did it the 27th
Of April?
of April, just throwing that date out, just. Because I know we're not meeting, we usually don't meet in May anyway, because town meeting.
I can tell you, I have two meetings at the Commissioners and Trust Funds at 4 and the Water Sewer Rate Structure Committee at 6. So I wouldn't be able
That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Tour of the high school.
And but the tour of the high school, yeah. Yeah, he'd probably want to be going.
Do you want to go to, do you want the tour or you?
to. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So let's, and when do we start? So we could do it after town meeting, when we estimate in May.
Town meeting should not run beyond May 10th.
So we could do it and it wouldn't go on the Thursday anyway, right?
No, it's Monday and Wednesday.
So,
But you may not want to do it the 11th if you've been at town meeting all week.
your choice, Dave, or
Uh,
the 18th, I don't care.
I'll say 18th because I
You want
also
to
have
do
a
18th,
water
sorry.
sewer rate
I have a
structure
question.
committee that night.
Sorry, that's my anniversary if I say. I'm not
18th
coming
is
over.
J Harp, don't they? leave
If
high
I
school
say I'm
too?
not coming home, I'll get killed.
And then the 25th is the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend.
And I have a water sewer rate structure committee. All during the month of April and May, it's water sewer rate structure.
If we, can we start at 4 on the 18th? Is that too early?
Oh, yeah, no, well, yeah, let me ask them, sorry. Any of the members have an issue starting at 4 o'clock on May 18th, a Thursday?
No
This
issue.
would be at live at the high school.
It'd be in
That's fine.
person.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do a Zoom tour while we walk around.
Yeah, it will be live, and if everyone agrees, we'll lock that in, if that's okay?
Yep.
Okay, so we're saying. the
So we're
18th.
not meeting on the 6th. Again, when is the, when do we expect to see the proposal and stuff?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
that line up with anything?
Also in terms of,
The technical.
Structural.
You mean like when they'll have a report back?
Yeah,
We're talking about, we're asking them to deliver that sometime in 4 months, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I think within, maybe by the end of August, we would have something. I mean, I'm not sure if this is gonna be a 4-month effort or a 6-month or what it's gonna take.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, haven't selected anyone, so really.
So are the current open positions on hold until that study is done?
yes.
Yeah, because we don't.
Right.
We don't have job definitions
we say the
if we're
18th
thinking
instead?
about all these things
No.
up in the air.
Instead
No,
of.
it's just a fair question. I just didn't know if
Oh,
there's,
no.
yeah,
Good question. I mean,
No, they need that, the money
some,
that.
sometimes these kind of
Oh,
restructurings take a number of years to take place, and you might want to have people in place in the interim. So,
The idea behind this trial, and if the trial works, even if it was, the plan would be to say, we want to think about restructuring and having another manager over here again, we could still have a stabilization team in place for that time, right? So the idea is for us to stabilize it, get it working and running, and if it truly means going back to a different old structure, at least we're passing something that's secure and
Yeah.
stable and has procedures and policies and all
Right,
that in place.
right.
And then the next person can take it on and tweak things or whatever, but at least it's stable, which.
We view this as a 2-phase kind of project where we're sort of just coming in, as Mark said, to stabilize things. Kind of getting the consultant on board. And at the end of this process, there's an off ramp. If we don't want to do it, if we do want to do it, we'll be able to make a decision about what we want to do going forward. And then we would see the process of integrating after that if we do decide to go forward. And that's more the implementation piece. So
Yeah.
we're looking to make that decision if we can by the end of the summer.
Okay,
So just to circle back, April 6th meeting is not happening.
I just asked the same thing.
That's the answer.
Yes.
Do you meet monthly or Quarterly.
Typically
Fine,
monthly.
it's Typically, like the first,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
always
sorry.
try to be the first Thursday of the month because it's always easy to remember. But really been flexible and it depends on schedules. So yeah, I don't think there's any need to have a meeting on the 6th, Dave.
I'm not saying there's, I mean, I won't have any more to report relative to the revenue and billing collection system. And the only thing I would think that if there was a desire to meet in April, it wouldn't be until the 20th, but I recognize that's also school vacation week and that might be a conflict for some.
Yeah.
But not.
Or the drum colleges.
Yeah,
I'll be out of town that week.
okay, so that answers that question.
Not for me, empty nester.
Last one.
got rid of-
Lawrence
Got rid of the
Wheels.
last one.
Okay,
Let's book another meeting that we get it in your schedules. So we have the May meeting. And I would say this year, a June meeting would be good,
okay,
because I certainly will have a lot to report in terms of where we're with revenue and billing, and certainly we'll be getting ready to, I'll be issuing property tax bills and such.
and I know high school graduation is like the 5th,
It's a
Sunday
Sunday.
now, right? Yeah.
It's- Yeah,
4th.
it's the fourth now, I believe.
So we could do it the 8th, the 15th. Someone have an opinion?
Eighth probably would be
I would
better.
prefer the 8th over the 15th.
Okay,
15th is last day.
and we'll do this one at 4:30 again.
Yes. And I'll send
No
out book
DLT that
invites.
night.
What's that?
No DLT that night.
Is the 8th a Thursday?
Yes, it
Yes.
is, yeah.
I had that on my calendar, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's funny, it's on a Thursday, right? Yeah, I'll tell you. I have it that way too.
So, okay,
So it may be a conflict.
That's
Brian.
fine, yeah.
It's not a day for us, it's usually on Wednesdays, but it's popping both on our calendar on that day for some reason, but. It's up to you if you want to do it without us, it's,
That meeting ends at 5:30, so
yeah, if we need anything,
Oh,
it could appear on your agenda later if you'd like to.
yeah, if you want to push later, we can come over, I can certainly come over after that.
I
okay.
feel like it'd be better if you were here.
Yeah.
so.
Yes, I would
So why don't
agree.
we-
I'm fine to push later and come over.
Do you want to
after.
push it the next week then to?
No, I'm sorry, if you, time wise.
Later in
That
time.
doesn't work for Carrie.
Oh,
So whether
oh.
we look at Thursday, June 22nd.
Thursday, June 22nd work.
Or did you say that,
Oh, no, I
can you
can,
do after 5:30 or is it? or we
I can
saying-
do after 5:30
Is that a problem for you, Dave, or,
on the 8th
Oh, no, but
as what I'm saying is like, we can leave DLT and come over here,
and just come, so do it at 5:30 instead of
Yeah.
4:30.
okay.
Where are you leaving?
high school, maybe we should have done that.
Going to high school again, or? So,
Actually, it might be at Hillside.
I actually have it on my calendar, Hillside.
Yeah, they're trying to get us enough chairs to do it there, we don't have enough chairs.
So 5:30 on the 8th
5:30 on the
5:30.
8th of June. Yeah.
and here.
And it'll be, and as I said, I'll send out Outlook invites, just to get it in your
Calendars,
electronic
yeah,
calendars.
thanks. Yeah.
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Dave, just a quick question, as this is my first official meeting. Does this body participate in any other meetings or town events other than this forum?
Well, this is the forum. This is the only time you're the technology advisory board. In the fall, we come in with what the capital requests are. And that's one of the things that the committee looks at and makes a recommendation, which is provided to the select board and finance committee. It does, do you support or not support the capital request of the department?
That's
So
in
that's-
November.
Got it.
That, yes, the fall, November. And the committee did support the recommendations for this upcoming town meeting. The other thing, which the committee has to remind them, but the PBPC, when they're doing projects, are supposed to reach out to the Technology Advisory Board for input relative to technology for building projects. And that's the time that the committee has a role with another committee. But that happens when there are projects that could be undertaken.
And I'd be happy to assign you that task. It's, I've worked at it several times, to not good effect. But I just never have put the pressure consistently on it to get it done. So if anyone wants to be the liaison to the PPPC and just kind of get us involved in it, I think it's really needed. Dave and I have discussed it for years. I've sent emails, I've said, I've showed up at meetings. The last meeting I said when I was furious is when I asked something, I said that I was chair of the tech board. I asked a technology question and they wouldn't answer. And that just set me off. And I didn't say anything, I didn't yell or scream. I just,
They do
Said-
struggle with technology support, in the building project, they do.
but they didn't want me to talk. They said, they just ignored the question. Next, and it's like, you didn't answer the question. Next.
I mean, we can't be responsible for that governance, of course. So that's.
Oh, no, but it was to the point where, I told David, I was just flabbergasted. I was so flabbergasted. Normally I'd have a comeback. I didn't even have a comeback. I was so flabbergasted. So knowing that, of course, next time I'd be more prepared with saying, hey, I'm chair or I'm a member of this board. I'm asking on behalf of the board for the citizens of Needham, not just a citizen, and expect something. And I told them I was on the technology advisory board, but it was ignored. It was pretty interesting. And I just didn't pursue it further at that. I just said, fine, you can deal with putting buildings up where we have to spend extra money every time you finish the building to redo the technology, which has happened for the past 15 years, every single time.
They're pretty good on the school side about at least reaching it, they involve.
They reach out to
process.
you.
They're very good about that, I will say. It still is, when you have a tech advisor on a building project, there's just a lot of stuff.
Oh,
that
it's,
goes in there.
it's,
Yeah.
as we've learned out after, our whole discussion after the SUNY Williams thing, saying there's way more tech today.
Yeah.
And if you get different software systems in this building than in the other building, it kills everyone. Because now we've got more technology that everyone has to learn.
Public safety, I mean, that building is highly technical now, it's unbelievable the tech in there now. And, it all has to be replaced and updated and all that kind of stuff. And, that's the kind of stuff that'd be good to have a plan in the beginning. And can we afford this going forward? And that's my approach to a new building is that's great if it looks nice and shiny, but if we can't afford it, the next time it has to be replaced, don't put it in, right? And they've been, actually, now we're in a good place with them. We're to the point now where they listen to us first, so they don't put it in first. Anyways, if you want a sample, we're building Emory Grover, so if you want to try to,
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask about
Yeah.
Emory Grover,
Yeah.
what's being done there from a technology perspective.
So it's already, we're in the beginning phases of it, where you have preliminary plans, but nothing's, base contracts already there, so infrastructure is already built and,
Well, they're
wires.
schematic. I mean, we're
They're
not in the
schematic.
preliminary phase. We're actually,
Right.
it's.
I say it's probably too late for.
Yeah, we're done.
What I keep hearing, it's way too late before.
But it's not like you still could decide to put in a different brand of camera system or a different door
And
access
that's the
system.
issue.
That stuff you can still control at this point, because that's project, some of that stuff is at the project, not beginning, but how many network drops there are, all that kind of stuff, where the stuff, is wired to, that's all done, that's.
Yeah, but that's not.
But it
It's
was
the
reviewed by,
software
it was
right.
reviewed by myself and the town
Right.
electrician and whatever, my team did review all that before it went out.
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And now it's just the software systems. Is there anyone who wants to get involved with the PPPC?
Well, you did such a great sales job.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Well,
Everyone step back.
I've been, I've been in town I'm probably the only person who's attended PVPC meetings since Pollard disaster in '93 when they.
They're well respected. How often do we know how often they meet? You know, what kind of-
weekly.
Like I wouldn't be a.
Yes.
Would there
they
be-
meet bi-weekly, and
Try to-
I think it would be appropriate for you, Carl, just to send an email to
Yeah.
Stuart Chandler. He's now the chair of the committee.
Okay.
I
I
can
would-
try to
Yeah,
organize.
It would seem that we'd certainly want to handle this, any conflict ahead of any meeting to avoid any issue where our contribution would not be useful.
No, that's fine. I will reach out.
And would it be necessary to attend all of them, or there's
No,
gonna
no,
be
it's
specific
just-
times, you know?
Yeah, they have agendas like we do.
Right.
And, you know, basically have to follow the agenda. And normally, no one tries to sneak stuff in.
Yeah, the reason they meet bi-weekly is they're actually have the charge with the construction project, so they actually sign off on the bills. So
Oh, yeah, they-
their primary purpose.
They do a
meeting every 2 weeks.
phenomenal amount of work. It
Yeah,
is
they're well respected.
crazy how much goes through there. That's what I'm saying. And, you know, I'm there for this much of the piece, you know, but I attended meetings for like a year at the beginning, you know, when they were getting going, and it was like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to volunteer for this group.
Emory
Yeah,
Grover would have
it's
been a good
huge.
one, because there was some debate about whether they're gonna bring a technology consultant on board, if it's a small project. We're not really changing much, you know, and they can save some cost and by not having, and so there was some debate in the beginning about whether they're gonna have a technology consultant, but a group like this could have said, well, no, that needs, it could have been more than just me screaming, saying that needs to happen, you know, that kind of thing. So that could have been helpful in that, just overall advising about, no, on every
Yeah.
project, you need to have a technology consultant.
Right.
As part of the project, you can't let it go just because the numbers aren't there, because you're gonna waste money by not having it. You know,
Pay in the long run.
If they had a targeted agenda item where they actually wanted our feedback, I mean, I'd be willing to go to that.
Yeah. And
Right.
that's, you just gotta look at the Emory Grove. I'll send an email and I'll reach out to you guys. So I think that takes care of with future meetings, and only one topic that I wanted to bring up. I'm perfectly happy to give up the chair and be a member of the board. I have been the chair for so long, I don't even remember when it started. And I'm trying to slow down at work, you know. So Mike has been kind enough to be like vice chair and take the notes.
Which I lost last time, so this is not a good.
The tech guy who lost something. I can't believe that could happen.
it's
But,
not favorite.
you know,
Yeah, where's my DR plan?
feel free to, and I think we need to create a rotation, and obviously with 2 new members in the past year, you know, where you do it, and there's actually a secretary position, 2 actually, I think. in the-
Yes, so there's
in-
one
in the
member that's
secretary.
responsible for taking the minutes of the meeting, and then one who is the chair.
So we are,
Vice chair. and
I have a
chair.
human rights committee meeting tonight, and we just, at the beginning of every year, have everyone picks a month that they do the minutes. I
Yeah.
mean, that's something that,
Well, the minutes is small. I'm just thinking that it's like the Board of Selectmen does. You know,
yeah,
your secretary, your vice, then your chair, and it rotates every year. And you move from secretary to vice chair to chair. And that way you have the progression and everyone knows what it is. Not that our board is anywhere near as complicated as any of the others. This is one of the way more simple boards. And that way, so if someone wants to be secretary and come in, feel free to just email me after the meeting. How's that sound?
We'll
So
have
that
that reorganization on the next board meeting.
Yeah.
You're
And,
doing such a great job.
oh, yeah.
then.
How could we depose you?
As I
Yeah,
say,
I
you're
know.
gonna miss it.
Yeah, I want to abdicate.
Carl, you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny how sometimes people hold on to stuff way past that, and I hope I never do. You know, I really have no problem stepping back and just being a member, and maybe at some point I'll look into some other endeavor. I don't know, you know. I'm not retiring anytime soon, though I'm past retirement age, so I'm on Medicare already.
Well, I've been here 22 years and you've been on this board, I think the whole time, right? Yeah.
I'm an original member from the founding.
Yeah.
Which kind of surprised me, but, you know, again, it hasn't been a lot of time, so it's been workable for me.
Yeah, are you saying you're responsible for the green screens, the financial system?
Well, look,
Yeah.
no, look at it this way. If I tell you what you know, when we started Dave into the town just after the board was set up, we had 30 PCs in town hall, and we had 30 terminals.
Yeah.
And that was
There's
it.
a main branch sitting over there, you know,
And
with the tape reels and
Mhm.
everything, yeah.
and it went, and within 10 years, it bared no resemblance to the original footprint. And, you know, it's actually been less in the last 10 years. You know, the changes have been unbelievable, of course, except for the billing software. See, there was one bit that's still there. Yeah, and given that, I know this sounds funny, is I was an AS4, you know, AS400 guy, but like even for me, I had given it up 10 years before, you know, I hadn't done any work on it, probably done any consulting, since the late 90s on AS400, so I was.
Would you like to buy one? We have one.
Yeah, well, no, actually,
eBay,
you could
eBay.
probably have
You
a-
might get money for the parts.
Play and market.
No.
Yeah.
You can run Linux on it. It's an RS-6000 base. It's just the OS. Same hardware. IBM, brilliant idea. Build one set of hardware, put two different operating systems. And so that works. So that's one of the good things. So you can pull it out. Unfortunately, it's how old?
I won't say when I'm recording publicly.
And it's, because we bought used ones this time, right? To continue running.
Yeah.
That's why we have to move. Oh yeah, when I got here, we had no test systems on any system. All you had was prod. You applied patches to prod. A lot of
Nail
guts.
biting there, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of guts.
It's funny to see the new hires who are, you know, under 30 look at a green screen. Right now. You know, they're.
What's this? No, this is
Is
the
this the
latest
movie?
technology. No, this is the new stuff. You just haven't seen it.
Trying to get the cursor over to.
We've
figure out where
decided,
the-
yeah,
They're
we've
hitting
decided.
screens.
There are only a
They're trying to
limited number of
swipe.
people who know how to assign passwords, so half the people who should have access actually don't have access anymore to the system.
And that was where the guy I worked with, the Brit, said, you know, what's the position of a cursor? One who can't find it. Because they blink at different rates, so sometimes you're looking at the screen and you're like, where is it? You know, it's a blinking line, that's it, and there's 20 lines of the thing, and you can't tell the blink because it's not differentiated enough. Anyway, so that brings us to adjournment. Unless there's anything else.
Second it.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Done. Thank you.
See you.